Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Gloves Off podcast, the only podcast that is not going to locals. Just leave it at that. But we're back again with some news of the gaming variety and some of the not gaming variety. But all that good stuff you guys are here for, and I'm joined as always with my merry band of quarantine friends going around the horn. I'm going to go in reverse order this time. I'm going to introduce Mr. Hazmat first. How are you, sir?
Doing good. How's everyone doing today? Happy to be here. Long time, first time.
Don't make it your last time.
Yep. No, couldn't if I wanted to, my man.
Yeah, and somebody with I've never seen this man with so much hair on his head. It's throwing me off. And when you're a shark all the way. With Mr. Ajax HQ. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Like you said, I have never had hair this long in my life, but quarantine is changing things a little bit, so gotta rock it with it. But I'm doing good.
Considering you already own a leather jacket, I'm ready for you to just start tap dancing in an alleyway. Like the next time the next time you're in a the next time you're in a car, it's just gonna start flying away. So,
you know what?
And suddenly everyone's thinking about dropping out of beauty school. It's very strange.
You know what? You just gave me like a great idea for Halloween, so I think I'm sold on this idea.
Also, I just exposed myself because I don't know how to snap my fingers. So.
Oh, you don't?
No.
I can snap. I can't whistle. That's the one I want. I can't whistle. I want to be able to do that.
I'll trade you.
I'll trade you. Hell yeah, dude. Are you serious?
All right, we'll talk about it. And the last man on the docket, the Mordecai to my Rigby, because you are wearing one of my favorite shirts that you indeed own. It's Mr. Chris Alonian. How are you, sir?
I like how I made sure to pop it up too.
You gotta see it. Yeah, I'm doing very well, man. Just looking forward to getting new aesthetic got going on this week. I'm actually feeling pretty good about it. I threw this together kind of quick. I'm only gonna expand on it so we could do more fun stuff.
It's cool you faded us in one at a time. I didn't know it was gonna happen.
I didn't know it was gonna happen
either. This is a lot more than I expected when you were doing this.
I told you. I said, guys, I got something cool I want to try tonight, and I didn't want to disappoint. I was a little nervous because I knew we were starting a little later than we wanted to, and I felt the pressure kind of starting to settle. Where I was like, now I gotta actually deliver. And sure enough, this is the best I could do.
I was a little worried because the last time someone told me they wanted to show me something, I almost smoked cigarettes for the first time. So,
that's not where I thought that conversation was.
Dude, I'm
glad that it at least kept with you saying that you did.
I already apologized for that Qatar Coupe. I'm sorry I put pressure on you to smoke cigarettes in the bathroom with Kitaro, okay? I'm sorry.
That's why the fire alarm in the toilet didn't flush. The fire alarm just wouldn't stop flushing. It was terrible.
Look, I'm still waiting to play my round 3, okay? So.
Man, I missed that place.
Anyone know where I could use a bathroom or what's good?
Jesus, dude.
Anyway, folks, we got a full docket of news for you guys this week. There was a lot of stuff that happened in the last, I'd say, week and a half that we haven't done a podcast, which is fine because, we got some stuff built up. Last week would have been E3 week, so we would have been complaining inevitably about whatever character they added to Smash, which makes me sad. But
dude, I think they're fucking nervous to release this character.
I think so too, to be honest.
No, bro, they know.
Like what the hell is going on? How are we still waiting?
they're like bunkering off. It's like, dude, I don't know, man.
They wanted to drop they wanted to ease in with it with Pokemon Smile, but we'll talk more about that.
It's like at the end of the Iron. It's like at the end of the Iron Giant where they're trying to talk about whether they dropped the nuke or not. And they're just they got just no, yes, no, yes, no. Terrible comparison, but moving right along. So, full docket of stuff happened this week. One of the many things we're going to be talking about is last week's charity event, the Fights for Right charity, which the three of us commentators took part in this weekend. We're going to talk a bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit more about the various charities that the monies have been going to. Maybe some things might be a little bit fishy on those horizons. We're going to talk about locals reopening, as well as Sony's new PlayStation router, and some Pokemon news that came out today. So we got all of our bases covered. So where would you guys like to turn the wheel of morality to stop? Where do we want to go first?
Let's see.
So many.
Do you like good
great
news?
choices?
What do you think? Good news or bad news first? Where are we at? Where are we on?
You always lead with the good news, man.
Always lead with the good news.
Business 101.
Well, let's start with what's most relevant, which is the Pokemon stuff that came out today. Which I would
call good news, by the way.
I would also call that good
Overall,
news.
good
Yes,
news.
fantastic news.
The bad news is that Chris got baited by a Nintendo Direct meme.
I don't want
Unfortunately.
to talk about it.
I saw that. No. You know full well we were gonna point that out. I've been hitting fast before.
I don't know what you're
Devada
talking about.
You better nuke Devada
I
right
didn't
now before he
see
docks you.
nothing.
Yeah, so
It's
Pokemon.
crazy how
I
all
think,
of our cameras just disappeared.
yeah, it's wild. So it's why my internet's randomly shut off. I kicked my router.
Chris has too
But-
much power, man.
Yeah, I kicked my PS5 and the internet went out. So yeah, I guess so. Pokemon Company announced like what was it 2 days ago? They usually give like 2 days notice on these directs.
It was
usually
yeah, I believe it was 2 days ago. Or maybe it was just yesterday. It was very, very short notice on this one.
Yeah.
Yes. So they announced it today, and they got some things that we were expecting, which is the arrival of the first of 2 DLC patches for Pokemon. This is the Isle of Armor. Is that what
The
it's
Isle of
called?
Armor. Yep.
The
Yeah.
Isle of Armor releases, introduces a bunch of new moves, a bunch of new Pokemon, some old friends coming back.
Busted moves.
Yeah, we
Dude,
can,
what
we
the
can-
heck? There's a ground type Scald now.
There is a
That's ridiculous.
okay. All right.
Before we get into it,
Yeah. I'll dive deep into all of the Isle of Armor of when I get to
Yeah.
that posted.
Well,
the
we'll
direct shot
get
here.
yeah, we'll get to that in a second, but I just want to announce everything else that
sorry.
came with it. So the biggest announcement, obviously, Pokemon Smile, that was announced today.
That was great.
That's funny.
It was adorable.
I
like
think that is super interesting in the way of Nintendo doing super interesting things. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, we got that. We got our thankfully our resident Pokemon Go expert in Hazmat to talk about the new Pokemon Go stuff.
Yeah.
That came out. They also they broke the glass. Pokemon gave us all what we've been asking for, which was a Pokemon Snap.
So good, dude. Just so good. Just so unbelievably good.
how did it take 8 generations of Pokemon for them to finally give us Pokemon Snap 2 or new Pokemon Snap? Either way, what took them so long? It looks beautiful.
Dude, the Switch is the perfect system for this game for
really
fucking
is.
sure. I mean, the N64 was like maybe the worst system for it to start out on. Like, it doesn't make any sense, the controller or any of that shit, but it was amazing, obviously. The Switch is just like, holy shit.
Easily
gonna
one of
be
like my
awesome.
favorite surprise hit, favorite video games from the 64 era was Snap. Was like, what is this? I thought it was gonna be like another stadium game because that was when it was at like that was a prime time for Pokemon too. When you had the stadiums going, you had all of the you were getting ready to transition to GBA soon. Just look at that, man! Like 20 plus years it took. And I was having a lot of fun because a buddy of mine came over today and they were actually playing Pokemon Snap for the first time, and it was so just fun to watch the excitement that they were having, just finding the new spots. And now we have literally over 800 potential shots of Pokemon that could be happening, not including if they do Megas or Dynamaxes. Like,
To be honest with you, like, so much that was so cool about Snap is exactly what you said. Like, there were these little mysteries and secrets that like you were so cool and fun to find, or like little ways the Pokemon interacted with the environment based on what you did. Like, the concept of the game is fucking bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's just stupid. You know, like, the concept is so dumb. Like, you take pictures of Pokemon and you throw apples at them. Like, that's the game. But it's so good. Like, it's so fun because they added this like cute little charm to it, and then also there's this. The secrets. It kind of
they showed the trainer actually. I didn't even realize that they had a good
Yeah.
shot of the trainer. So very different looking compared to the first one.
new Todd.
Do you
Yeah,
get camera
I miss
upgrades? That looks like what's he doing with that little like Nikon cool pics?
Yeah, you might. You probably do get camera upgrades, to be my guess.
Yeah, probably.
So, but that was the thing, is like unlocking cool, cute little new areas and shit like that was so hype. And I hope they focus on the charm of the game more than adding a ton of content to it. Is what I'm kind of hoping for. Because the first game was pretty fucking quick, but it was so fun because you had to replay levels and you get new things and re-explore old levels with like new items and try to unlock new paths and new kind of Pokemon like fighting or hugging each other or whatever.
You had to like you had to sometimes get them to force to each other, and then now we have to try and somehow save Magikarp from Pidgeot because that Magikarp it dead ain't coming back. It's gone.
I'll never forget as a kid when I threw the apple at the Charmeleon on the volcano level, and it turns into Charizard.
You knock it into the hole,
that blew my mind as a child. So like that's like you guys said, that's the one thing I'm like so excited for is that they have so many like you know tools and things they can go with. Like you know if you can throw mega stones at things, like
that's what I was getting
violent,
at with
but
that. I could see them like getting us to get them to Dynamax and stuff too. Also speaking on features that like has to talk about, I was raging a little bit with the last console because I felt like the Wii U gamepad was kind of built
it was
for
perfect.
Snap.
It was perfect.
Yeah, they did nothing with it, but I feel like in this game is gonna be where they utilize the cross between like handheld and TV mode like the most. I feel like there's gonna be only shots you could take by having it in handheld, as well as like some shots you can only get on screen. Like I'm more than willing to bet they'll try to do something like that.
Ooh, here's another wild kind of observation. In the old one, didn't they take the sprites from? Aren't those lifted from Stadium?
They were lifted from Stadium, yeah.
So
these are all new sprites.
Could we potentially see a new Stadium type game?
Look, so I was actually just gonna ask you guys that.
There's another fucking announcement next week.
Yeah, look, I'm telling you right now, there is no room that can hold me or a wall that will stop me from running through it. If I come across that screen, two things. One, a new Stadium-esque game like Battle Revolution, or two, a sequel to Coliseum or anything along the lines of that. I will literally run through a wall if I get to play as Wes again.
Who's Wes, the guy from Coliseum?
That's the first one. We don't talk about the second main character, even though Gale of Darkness was great. The first one where you actually get to play it, like if
what's his name, like Todd or something?
Todd's the Pokemon Snap guy.
Are they all named Todd?
Pretty generic enough.
No, his name was Michael. That's what it was.
Oh, I honestly don't even remember. It was so forgettable.
I unfortunately remember. I played that game a lot.
I love Gale of Darkness, and I love Coliseum. I think I love Coliseum more than Gale, but like, like the concept was so cool. You're sitting there literally playing as like the bad guy for a change, who then transitions. It's not a spoiler if you haven't played the game. Anybody watching?
Yeah,
it literally happens at the very beginning.
15 years ago.
Yeah, you get on it. It's so good. Also, that was the only way you could get Johto Pokemon for the longest time when it switched to GBA. So I was like the only kid in middle school walking around with Entei, Suicune, and Raikou, and I felt like a boss. But
there's the kids that were Abercrombie, and you're like right here.
Yeah,
sure. Like,
yeah.
Damn, I feel attacked now. God damn.
That's accurate. That's accurate as hell, actually.
So I was just gonna say, like, the only thing that, because I didn't know they were having another announcement next week. That's crazy.
Yeah.
The only
they announced
thing
it right at the end.
There's only like because they've given the fan base a lot of what they want. They've given them like I never thought that I'd see Mystery Dungeons remade. That happened. That blew my mind.
Yeah, that's true. Like I forgot Mystery Dungeons was just like a month or two ago.
Yeah, it was like in March.
Like,
it was in March it came out.
They were like the train doesn't stop at Gen 1 anymore. We're going full nostalgia, full resale on all this shit. Especially the Switch, man. It's a perfect opportunity to do it.
And the people aren't going to stop rioting until they get their Gen 4 remakes.
I was going to say the internet blows up the day that Gen 4 comes out. It deserves it. It truly deserves it. Also, Regigigas is nowhere to be found on a lot of these lists of Pokemon that are confirmed. So I can see them like making us have to, instead of like in the first one where you had to have the original 3 Regis, I can see it where they make it so you have to have the 5 Regis now.
I forgot about Reggie Draco.
Yeah, Reggie Drago is better. Reggie Alecki is a terrible name.
That's a terrible name.
Reggie Drago is great.
It sounds like a bad reggae band.
A little bit. Electronic reggae.
Ew. So there's only 2 of the new one? There's only 2 for the new...
There's only 2. There's Reggie Alecki, which is electric type, and then Reggie Drago, which is...
What if they added a 3rd and then made a new Regigigas Alolan... Or not Alolan, but a new variant?
Oh, like a Galarian...
Yeah.
By the way, I'm going to need people to cooperate and get that done. I don't have Zeraora yet, and I want a shiny one as well as that one. So, yeah.
You know, I just recently watched the movie with Zeraora in it.
I have yet to watch. There's a lot of them I haven't watched. I'm finally watching through Pokemon X and Y because Journey's got me so hyped, but everybody told me X and Y is like the best season.
X and Y is like objectively the best Pokemon anime.
Yeah, which is crazy because it's like it fights for the worst of the generations.
Yeah. It's crazy how that works out.
Hey, I liked X and Y.
I said it fights for it. I didn't say I hated it, but it's definitely not my favorite for sure.
Fair enough. That's fair.
I feel X and Y was dead on arrival because it was going to be the worst of that generation because it was the first of it to come out.
Yeah, well, also
But I
it
still
had
think
no
those games
post
are
game. It
great.
was so
No,
it
terrible.
was just like
So,
just nothing. They didn't even, there was like here's Zygarde, and then we're gonna wait till the new area because we don't know what we're doing with this one, so we're just gonna shoot this one in the foot.
moving right along the post game. Obviously the other big thing that came out today is that the Isle of Armor DLC dropped. So Ajax, you've been the one that's been on top of that today. So what's your early impressions so far?
Yes.
of the
So
DLC pack?
I decided to hop on. I streamed about 4.5 hours of it so far, and what I've done. Wait, is that real?
Oh wait,
Wait.
yeah. Did I?
Whoa! 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 What's
Wait,
this?
this is
Whoa, that's
so
re-
sick.
Yeah, now-
What
that's
the
real?
Okay,
fuck?
all right. It's a parody. Okay, don't
Oh, God.
don't do that to me. I was gonna say that
I was
looks
so
great.
excited. I love Noctowl too.
Yeah,
He-
Noctowl was
there we
super
go.
slept on too. Noctowl actually hits mad hard. Okay, all right. So the game, it's basically just an extended wild area. It's not there's like not a whole lot of new story, so to speak. Granted, I'm not done with it yet, but like it's been fun. There's a lot of new additions to quality of life in the game because in the base game they changed a lot in terms of being able to EV easier, level easier, obtain materials to like create a team easier. And this one, there's a lot of things they've done too that I won't say because I don't want to spoil too much. But there's some things where it's like making a viable team involving G-Max Pokemon, I'll say, is like much easier
Really?
compared to before. Yeah.
Nice.
I won't say why because there's spoilers involved with that.
Fuck that. Let them mute the chat for 2 seconds. I want to know how.
All right, red spoiler bot. We'll say on this one.
Yeah, spoiler. If you don't, if you're,
So-
if
so
you
we-
haven't started
so
it yet, this is a fair amount of time.
Yeah,
for
it's
you
just
to close
fair
out.
game. You guys, all right? Anybody in chat?
Show
anybody
notes
watching
for Chris. We got to get like a breaking news thing on the bottom that
Oh.
says like just flashes red with
That
spoiler.
actually would be good. Like right off
We could
the
definitely do
bottom
that.
or the top that just says
Hang on,
like.
hang on. What?
He's
What?
got
Oh my
this.
god, he's
I
a
got,
mad
I got
man.
this. I got this. What is the
Oh, he's
news?
got it. All right.
He was
What,
just
what is the
waiting
news
for us to
exactly?
ask.
I was
We are
waiting
literally
for this.
evolving on the fly. I will say
Pokemon
something.
DLC spoilers.
I will say something besides that. I got chased by a Sharpedo like 4 times. It scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they like fast in the overworld?
Oh, they're super fast in the
It should
overworld.
be.
Yeah, like I was just cruising along in the water, and then next thing you know, it just started blitzing after me, and I got so scared. I started screaming. I was like, "What the
There
fuck
we
is
go.
this?"
We got our breaking news. So
Okay, so Pokemon DLC
spoilers.
spoilers in 3, 2, 1, ready, go. Okay, so in order to create G-Max Pokemon, there's a thing that you do with Mustard that creates a soup that gives them the ability to G-Max. So all
So
Pokemon,
you can take what things that you have now, like my shinies
Yeah.
can become G-Max shinies now.
all Pokemon now are
Oh.
able to G-Max
Oh,
if they have a
awesome.
G-Max form through obtaining the mushrooms to create the soup for it. So I had a shiny Charizard that I had caught where I had bred like back to the beginning, and
Yep.
eventually I got lucky enough to find somebody with a den. I'm sure it's probably hacked, but they had a den with the shiny Charizard for G-Max. I wanted it, but now I can take that
course,
first
yeah.
one that I had or
The
any of the
legit
other
one.
Pokemon. Yeah, hey, I caught it off of their den. I didn't do nothing, but I could take any one of them now that I breed, and I don't have to worry about farming out a raid den anymore to get something that's close enough because it's nearly impossible to get like a no good speed on like a G-Max Hatterene. Like it's just
That's true.
It's
Oh,
so
shit,
hard.
yeah.
But now I can actually breed for that Hatterene, which I'm like pretty excited about because that gives me more opportunities to do things without having to accept it being slightly off because that makes a huge difference.
So my my score bunny that my shiny score bunny that I hatched, I can make it the G-Max version now.
Well, that's actually the only way to get the starters into G-Maxes. So
shit,
that's
yes.
yeah. So you have to do that anyways.
And
But yeah,
Bulbasaur score. Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Life is
no,
good. Great change.
it's awesome. It's so good. It's such a good change because like
Didn't you name your score bunny Mia Ham?
Yeah, I could say call her Mia Ham. I'm going
That's
calling Mia
great.
because she's going ham. Yeah.
That's funny.
that's great. That's still you had such a ridiculously good like
Hidden
chance off
ability-
of that. Like it's
Hidden
so hard to
ability,
get that.
female instead of male, which is like I think a 20-25% chance, if that.
I think you
15
said
maybe.
12.5.
Is it 12? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Were you just talking about how big Wailord is, by the way?
Yeah,
That was
awesome.
another thing I was going to mention. Wailord in the actual overworld is true to scale, and it looks amazing. Also, you get played by that because everything scales to where you are in the story, so it's not like it scales to your level. A lot of people thought that's the way it was.
Okay.
But I went in there only with the starters at level 60 each to try and like play along with it. And then I went over to that Wailord and it was level 80, and I didn't lose, but mistakes were made.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun. I still got a lot left to go to it, but I definitely say that in terms of the price point from what I've been able to do and the quality changes and the additional content that they've provided, it's worth the 15 that was like of the 30 for the split 2. So I think it was worth it, and I'm not even done with it yet.
Yeah, I think this is like the breath of fresh air that Pokemon needed. Because people were, just like with most games, people get kind of stale. I'm someone that can only do so much, breeding and chaining and stuff like that. I just don't have that sort of like patience and stuff like that. Even though I
It's
play Animal Crossing,
time-consuming.
so I'm a hypocrite. But I do enjoy that, and considering how the state of the world is right now, we're not really sure, how frequently we're gonna be able to get these big DLC updates whenever the fall rolls around for the I forget what it's called. The ice one already. The something Tundra?
Oh,
I forgot
the Crown
that's
Tundra.
coming.
The Crown Tundra.
Yeah.
And that one's gonna be fun too, because that's where you're getting all your like out of region legendaries. You're getting the
Birds.
You're getting the Galarian birds, which look really
Yeah, by the
cool.
way, those things are really good. And also all the new moves that came out. Okay, so that's the other
Yes,
stuff with
let's
this.
talk about that really quick.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That this DLC has brought is that the meta is so completely flipped on its
Yeah.
head now. It's not even close to funny. Like like for a while there, Rhyperior was pretty much just solely running the meta. On like main Trick Room teams, and if you didn't plan to counter it, you lost. Now there's like 4 answers to it, but one in particular is G-Max Rillaboom. That is probably, if not, no, it might be contender for the best starter Pokemon of all starter Pokemons now.
Really?
Are you serious? Better
Yeah.
than Scorbunny and Greninja? That's crazy.
It's better than Incineroar.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like the thing with Rillaboom is that not only does it have a fake out, it has access to knockoffs, so it's one of the best knockoff users.
Yep.
But it just got a move in Grassy Glide or something like that, which is a priority grass move in grassy terrain, which it sets up itself. It's base 70. Most priority attack moves are like 40. So you get a stat boost, which is 1.5. Then you get grassy terrain boost at 1.3. Then you put a life orb on it at 1.3, and now you're swinging with a priority move that's basically like stronger than a hyper beam.
Like base 200 almost.
Yeah, like as a grass priority
1.5,
move.
yeah.
So any ground times times 4 or anything like that, or weakness to grass, just get obliterated. So in Trick Room, doesn't matter. It can just swing first. And then the G-Max moves. I found out today, if it's a base 130 move, I was using it on my Cinderace, it goes to 160. So, and it ignores abilities. So for Rillaboom, if you do, say, Wood Hammer, it goes to 160, and it ignores Solid Rock, which, just puts everything
wow.
at 3/4 damage for Rhyperior. So what was the main meta Pokemon before, and like Lapras and all those, they get just one-shotted by Rillaboom.
Bro.
Doesn't a like weird terrain though just block priority moves? Isn't that like an easy counter?
That's psychic terrain, yeah.
Psychic
so
terrain.
so basic, like there's gonna be an increase in Indeedee for sure, or Pokemon that
sucks. I
have
don't like
psychic type
Indeedee.
moves. Yeah, like Indeedee's. I could see male Indeedee happening more because there's another move that came out amongst those two. There is now the first ever spread damage psychic move that is based, I think, 90, and it doesn't have a low accuracy if I remember correctly.
Like psychic
And-
dazzling gleam basically.
Yes, but it only works in psychic terrain, and it gets boosted in psychic terrain. So again, 1.3 boost plus that. Oh, and fairy types have an explosion now.
I saw that. That is really cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's funny.
which is also boosted in misty terrain. But really the biggest move that I think is the greatest threat amongst them all that people might not be realizing yet is the spread damage fire move that whenever there is a stat change in the turn,
Yep.
that it will automatically burn the Pokemon. So any of your
wow.
opposing team Pokemon is, so what you do is just you combine that with something like, say, a Swagger, boost them, and then you could burn them. Or if you know somebody's going to self-proc weakness policy and you have it teched on something and they don't respect it, you just automatically burn it. So you just completely wasted both of their Pokemon's turns and have the damage.
Does that
Jeez, bro.
bypass the you can't burn fire types rule?
Well, fire types will always be burned, yeah. So, will always not be burned. The only way it doesn't work that way is if Cinderace changes its typing
Right.
to like say fighting and then goes back to fire, it'll still count under the burn conditions.
So Cinderace will want to bulk up and then switch back to the fire type real quick. So
Yeah,
it
you
can't
want to get you want to
okay,
get
yeah.
back. If you read a Will-O-Wisp, make
Got
sure
it.
that you're switching back to fire, because then it can't get burned. But yeah, that's just some of them. Like there's like a steel physical type move that's base 130, and it only works when terrains are up, but it doesn't matter if you're Dynamax because it switches to base 150. So it removes the condition. So you now have a 150 base steel type move. Yeah, the meta is like, I can't wait because I love making things that people don't understand. So that's just joy for me. But like the actual state of the
Yeah.
game is gonna be crazy. And pat on my own shoulder, and pat to a buddy of all of ours, Mezzy, was able to get into the 896 people who are invited to the Players Cup by going, I believe, 17-4
I saw
with a
that.
team me and him
Hey.
put together in 2.5 days.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Um,
I'm pretty pumped about that. I'm excited he was able to get in. I wasn't able to compete in them because I'm working too much. So to see him and Biddy consistently just playing well has been awesome.
Good for them. Glad they found life on the other side of the Super Smash Brothers video games. So, yeah, listen, it's exciting. Pokemon is always full of surprises. I'm very excited to download this DLC myself and get my hands on it. Get real dirty with whatever with that bear that's going to be the next DLC fighter for Super Smash Brothers. So.
Yeah, actually, I
or
think
Shofu.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Urshifu.
Urshifu.
Also known as the teacher.
Your sensei.
So I got a question for you guys.
Yep.
And the
Oh,
other bit
boy.
of Pokemon news we got. What do you
Smile,
think?
dude. We didn't talk
Yeah,
about
what,
it.
what do you think about Pokemon Smile? Do you think this is cool? Do you plan to use it? You
Okay,
know, you
so-
got cool little hats you could wear. You brush your teeth.
So
You
I
feel
think
old,
this is
bro.
actually like, I think this is adorable because the thing is, like, it's already hard enough to get kids to not want to just eat snacks and like just not want to brush their teeth because it's boring, right? But when you give them something like this, I mean, it may not last in the long run for most of the kids, but it gets them involved in making it fun. So I think that this is actually a pretty good concept. I think it's going to be used more by adults than the kids themselves, but it's a good
Pokemon
concept
Go,
on
you think?
paper.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
Right.
it's more interesting to see like what Nintendo's trying to do in general. In terms of like this is obviously catered towards, creating a better habit for a child. So I wonder what kind of patterns we're going to expect to see from them because we've been seeing them cater a lot of stuff towards children between even just like geez,
I need that Charmander.
what's the cardboard games that they make now?
The Labo games?
Yeah, the Labo,
Labo,
like
yep.
Nintendo Labo, like you kind of saw them take a step into that, and obviously them like trying to hit a younger audience is not news. Even the newer Pokemon
Yeah.
games, like the Pokemon Go's or the Eevee edition and the Pikachu edition that just came
Yep.
out, like those were literally catered towards children. And it just makes me wonder, like, what else Nintendo has planned with this in mind, because Pokemon franchise is huge. Like, everyone knows Pikachu by now, and
Yep.
Pikachu is like iconic.
I would
I heard
hope so.
it's like the biggest thing. Like
Yeah.
it's like bigger than like whatever. I guess Harry Potter isn't a good example anymore.
Yeah, I
That's
believe
that's just in the
I
toilet
believe
right now.
worldwide
Yeah, it
it
is.
is the biggest franchise known amongst like all different regions.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it is marketable literally anywhere.
It's
you go.
universal.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder. I'm like, all right, so now we're seeing something as simple as a toothbrushing app, or could you just chalk it up as simply that, like the weird hybrid that you see, like a cereal based off of like Super Mario or like
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
those IPs? Like,
So-
do you think it's a trend here to stay?
So a couple things is I think the first thing is it's definitely I don't think anyone saw this shit coming. I think zero people called the Pokemon
No.
toothbrush app coming out.
No.
Like that was a 0% chance.
If you have
So
that
I
on your
think-
bingo card, you cheated.
Yeah, exactly. So I think
Yeah.
for them it's smart because the important thing is so what that does is there's two ways to like sell toys to kids, right? Either the kid asks the parent and then the parent buys it, or the parent goes, oh shit, this is a good thing for the kid, I'll get it for them. This is a way for them to be like, hey parents, here's a way to get your kids better oral hygiene, and it's fun for them. So then the kid likes Pokemon, the parents have a good association with Pokemon, they're in for life. Like you gotta hook them
Yep.
when they're young. Like that's when you get
Yep.
them. Then they're buying every game, merchandise, all that shit, man. It's genius play, obviously, from the marketing standpoint. Yeah, obviously we thought it was stupid, or well, a lot of people thought it was stupid. I don't really care about it one way or the other. Pokemon's a
Right.
kids franchise too,
Mhm.
which is like I feel like they're in such a tough spot when it comes to the new games because they have to cater to a brand new audience of people they're trying to bring in and hook for the rest of their lives, but also keep the customers that they have, which is an insanely hard task. Like that's got to be one of the hardest tasks
That's like
in the video game universe right now, corporate video game life right now.
especially for Pokemon because like they're like because most video games just have to like cater to the gaming aspect of it. Pokemon has the trading card, it has the anime, it has all the other merchandise that goes with it. So
Yeah.
that's why when I see comments like how come how come Pokemon Snap 2 looks like way better than Pokemon Sword and Shield? It's because Pokemon Sword and Shield had to be rushed for the holidays to coincide with an anime series that's coming out alongside with it. So, I think that gets lost on people where like the
They're
money
business, dude. They're a fucking
Yeah, they're
business.
business.
This is the bottom
And,
line.
in
Yeah.
regards to like the whole toothbrushing thing in general, like I think that stuff is not even just in Pokemon, but in general, that's probably going to be like a big part of what Nintendo talks about because even before the Switch came out, Nintendo said that one of the things they want to focus on is quality of life. They're constantly pushing these these sort of different endeavors and stuff like that to try to cater to like again like everybody. They're trying to take the message of the Wii without forcing the Wii upon you. You know what I mean? Like the Wii was looked at as like as the super casual console. They really hammered that home, but I think they're trying to take those ideals and kind of spread it out amongst the different phone apps that they're putting out there. With the even though Game Freak is kind of its own entity, and stuff like that, because they've got the Pokemon shirts and the clothing brands and all this other stuff. So, I think it's here to stay. I'm curious to see what their next step is, because Pokemon's never been afraid to like step outside of the box, which I'm very thankful for.
Yeah, Nintendo has a history of getting involved with, I already mentioned this, but like the younger generation, because even there's like Mario Legos coming out and stuff. Like there's definitely a way that they're just tapping into that particular market.
Have you guys seen the footage of the Super Mario like Universal?
That's actually what I was just about to bring up too. Yeah,
so
like
cool.
they're hitting all the right like nails right on the head. And like I unfortunately I've kind of brought this one up a few times, and it just does seem heavily like I always want to prelude it with first that rest in peace to Iwata and everything, but pretty much since the shift, it seems like they've kind of been heavily focused on, okay, how do we get this company as into not only the future but snatching onto the present as possible. And I feel like they were always trying to see too far into the future while forgetting to bring the hardcore gamer along with them as a whole as a company. But since they've been changing that, like I feel like it has put us right in the same boardroom that a conversation they probably had with like, what can we do to get the kids who are young, who just don't enjoy this daily hygiene task, and not only get them to have fun with it, but to literally hook them on it, because it's going to be something they're going to remember forever because it was something they learned as a kid. And for a parent, that's an easy buy. It's without hesitation. So
they can't fucking miss you. They made walking fun. How the fuck do you do that? Remember that shit? Everyone's playing Pokemon Go. It's like, what the fuck?
You always hear in recent years, what would people love to go back to? And they say that year that Pokemon Go took over the world. Like everybody was outdoors. I met so many people who I never would have met who were involved in Pokemon just through that, because everybody was out and about, like at the park having a good time. Even if a phone was in our hand, it didn't matter. We were outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're still figuring out ways to optimize that game too. I mean, not only does it still exist, you're seeing the actual console games kind of take stuff from it. So, yeah, I mean, Pokemon.
They just added Mega Evolutions to it too.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
They're going to.
Yeah. Oh wow, that is actually something. Pokemon
really
is definitely traversing a lot of territory. And while Pokemon leaves us smiling, maybe we want to frown a little bit. Do you guys want to talk about defunding locals, or you want to talk about what do you want? Because it sounds like you guys had a pretty good weekend at Fight for Your Rights, but I don't know if you want to like cool down with that later for like a nice little positive takeaway.
Well, yeah, I'll lead the conversation on this. So obviously this is one of the big things that happened today on the internet. The Pokemon announcement filled our mornings with joy. Felt good to drink my coffee and talk about brushing my teeth. That's exactly what I think about when I'm drinking coffee. But another thing that's going around is obviously we cannot ignore the news of the world. A lot of states are opening up in different phases now. We all me and Chris inhabit New Jersey. Obviously has from Massachusetts, and Ajax is from the moon. I mean Connecticut, excuse me. So So everybody's states are kind of in like different phases of opening. I know that Connecticut just entered their second phase of reopening.
Yep.
So gyms and stuff are opening, movie theaters are opening, and New Jersey, is kind of starting to get there. I know retail stores are opening now, barber shops and salons, and I think tattoo parlors are open up next week. So this leads to the interesting conversation we've been kind of dancing around the last couple of weeks as locals, local Smash tournaments of, people are. There's been a lot of controversy, a lot of backlash from people that are, choosing to run events right now. I know there's a 46-man event in somewhere in California this weekend in one of the subregions of Cali. I know there's talks of stuff opening around here and other various parts of the state. So I just kind of wanted to pick, your guys' brains, and I guess I'll start with Haz. So where do you fall on the, when is it a right time to open up locals? Do you think people should be hosting tournaments right now?
Once, I think I said this in a tweet before. Once it is safe and not a day sooner, man, it's not worth it. I get it. I mean, the game online leaves a lot to be desired. I understand the want and like the need to think like, man, it would be cool to go to locals, and yeah, it might be safe enough, but it definitely isn't. You got to be safe, man. This is your health, and this might be long term health, and yeah, nobody knows what the long term effects of this thing are. Yeah, you might get it when you're 20-year-old kid or whatever, and you're fine. But who knows what that's going to look like in 20 years? Who the hell knows what it's doing to your lungs and the rest of your body and all that shit? Not to, I don't want to scare people or whatever, but like you got to think of this shit, man. Nobody knows. This is unknown territory.
So I think aside from that, there's just so many other things. I think a lot of people are very looking to go back to the locals because it's sort of a semblance of feeling like things going back to normal.
Yeah.
But
Good
here's
point.
the
That's a big part of
reality. Things just aren't normal right now. Things are very far from normal. And there's a lot of changes that need to happen systematically and just everywhere in general. And Smash is just a little teeny part of that. So, until all of those things sort of get addressed, because like I could tell you even from the end of organizing something like this or trying to make an event happen, economically for me, in a time, I'm saying me, but just think about anyone who's making Smash content or streaming or doing anything, like even a tournament organizer, anyone. The economics for this, just not there. They're not there and they're not going to be there, and there's a lot of reasons for this. One, the events are capped, right? So now you're talking about something that was already kind of tough because you have to fill a room to make the event make sense. There's already people not getting paid. Prize pools are a little bit iffy as it is. And it's kind of like chancy on that end. And then now you're literally at 25 capacity of that, 25%. Yeah. So, just think about anyone who's commuting. And then like for me, on a personal note, I'm thinking about, we're in a discussion where people are talking about defunding police and everything like that. Until that gets squared away, I'm not getting out of my house with like thousands of dollars worth of equipment in my car. I'm just not doing it. Like whatever the case may be, wherever I live, whatever I look like does not matter. I could only lose from that. So between like the actual negative on just hosting the event to the fact that anything at the event could only turn bad. Like you could only really get sick from it. There's nothing really to be had. There's no like there's like a bigger infrastructure that everyone's going to be feeding into where it's like, well, I got to keep up my local scene. Like it's just the sense isn't really there yet.
Yeah, and that was really good point from the TO or like streamer perspective as well, because a lot of people keep saying, oh, event organizers need to get it going again because they got to make money, they got to have the venue open. But the thing is, the fact of the matter is like it's exactly what Haz was saying before. I've done excessive study and research into this because not only do we all have to go to work and be around this stuff regularly, but also like it affects a lot of my family directly. And at the end of the day, the reality is it's just not worth it to be bringing a bunch of people out who, unfortunately, like I'm not even meaning to to bring up the joke, but we just aren't the most hygienic people. We do not have a consistency of proof to say that the people who want to get back out there the most will be willing to take care of themselves, protect others around them, and make sure that they're going to be okay. Because we can barely get people to put shoes on at a freaking Frostbite venue. So what's going to prove to anybody for a fact that they're going to drive out 50 minutes in a carpool with somebody who was stubborn, decided not to bring a mask? They go in and then they tell them that they can't compete because they don't have said mask, and then they cause a scene, and then next thing you know, somebody actually catches something because that person wasn't being careful. Like it's just the first event that has an outbreak too early immediately sets everything back. It's just without hesitation. And it's also like we were mentioning before with parents. we still are a teenage-based community as well, and a lot of those kids are only going at the permission of their parents. And if that parent says, "Oh, there was a COVID case there," and you're telling me that they didn't take care of it, what's the likelihood or liability that a TO isn't going to get sued by the right person with the right lawyer? And then that TO goes bankrupt because you decided you don't want to play Smash. And it's not even just Smash, but it's like, it's just not worth it. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it should happen, honestly, for me, until we see a vaccine or at least a low enough consistency that we have enough people who are not willing to go out without being prepared. Because I'm still regularly yelling at people to get out of my store because they're coming in telling me the whole thing's false and that they don't want to wear a mask. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, get out. It's just the way it's gonna be. We can't do the same thing to a bunch of people who are at a venue though, because the TOs don't have that type of control, because they're just a host inside somebody else's building, and if there's ever issues, that building's gonna get hit, and we'll never see that building be able to host us again. It's just too much.
Dude, and on top of that, just morally, how do you go, yeah, this is cool, let's host this. If I did, I don't know if I could ever sleep again at night. If I hosted an event, one of the kids got sick, God forbid, or even if one of the kids brought it home and like one of their fucking parents died or some shit, dude, I would never forgive myself for like that's dude,
real. That's a real
for
thing,
fucking
though.
real, dude.
That's
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, I wasn't laughing
absolutely.
at that. I was laughing at Reggie in the chat.
Okay, I was like,
No, not that. I wasn't laughing at that. I just
dark humor, but yeah.
no, I just took a peek at chat and Reggie was talking about his footwear.
I also saw Reggie.
No,
which is
I
funny.
agree 100%. I'm sorry. Like, it's just like,
No, you're
yeah,
good.
you're like, how do you like look at yourself in the mirror and think, I needed the funds this bad? Because it's not like spoiler alert, like the locals aren't making big bucks. It's not like they're walking away. Most of it's off of a passion project. Like, and like it's just it's building to do something greater. But something greater can never happen if everything at the grassroots level that we pride ourselves so heavily on is torn apart, because you got people who wanted so badly to go to an event, and the next thing you know, there's 5 cases that contribute to another 10 cases each, and
So-
we're back to being in lockdown.
I think the biggest thing is like, what does anyone achieve from going back to locals? I think is the first thing to really like. As I don't want to just shame people for like wanting to go back. Like, I understand. I know it's like a thing, like very, very normal, very natural. It's
It's an
going
escape
back.
for people.
Totally
I
an
mean,
escape.
I get that.
Absolutely.
I feel that.
I think all of us want to go back. That's not a question.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So-
Yeah, it's not on that at all. We all badly
I think the
want to see each
entire-
other at a bar after
thing
all
is,
this said and done, but like,
I'll
we just
be-
can't.
I'll be
the entire
honest with
goddamn
you,
world
though.
wants to go back.
The thing is like, I think wanting to go back on a base level is very real, and I do agree. I think everybody wants to go back for that. But for me, even, I think about it like, I don't really want to go back either, because I just think about the overall structure of locals and how everything is we're running. Like, again, we're kind of operating on a system that already kind of wasn't working. So, God's honest truth, this kind of opens up an opportunity to maybe just do something different, right? I think, like, I could tell you right now, this whole thing has challenged me to just run my channel different, but then I also think about the Smash locals in general. Think about how many events were running before everything popped, how oversaturated the scene was, how not united the scene was, and basically just how many things were just going on, right? And it was kind of good and bad all at the same time, but at a point where, I don't know, it wasn't necessarily like a great system. So I think we're at a point where maybe, this is a big maybe and this is a big if, but like, you could theoretically sort of challenge some of that stuff. You could still contribute to your locals right now, like online. Like, those communities still get together. A lot of them still once a week. And I know online isn't great necessarily gameplay wise, but you could still get that hang in. And I know that's still not the same thing, but like, the reality is like, you kind of have to, be sort of on the mindset of building something better, not necessarily just wanting to go back, because it's like, you just want to go back.
There's only one point that I'll ever make in defense of why somebody wants it, and now I'm still heavily off of I think we need to wait forever, but it's a thing that comes with our community is that we do have a lot of people who are very socially anxious, and a lot of people find, like Koopa said, the escape in the video game community, because it's the easiest icebreaker, and for a lot of people it's the only place that they find friends that understand them. So I get that part as somebody who grew up pretty anxious myself for a long time until I got out of it, and it's I get it. It's like, yes, you want to see those friends. Yes, you want to just have that camaraderie at a venue again. But I agree with you on the online part. It's like, hey, maybe even though online isn't necessarily the best, talk in your Discords. Keep chatter with people, to do video chats like what we're doing right now. This is the best way we've been able to keep in contact with each other, like with the weekly meetups. Like, it's it's improvise, adapt, overcome is something you hear all the time from the military, and you want to just find ways to like adjust while we can, because like you said, we're not in a normal, and I know
No.
everybody wants it back bad, but we're not looking at normal for at least another year and change, and it's gonna take time, but we'll eventually get there. But for right now, I just don't think locals are the answer.
Yeah, the one point that I wanted to hit on is that, because I tweeted about this earlier today, and I'm just, I've the one thing that I found throughout this whole quarantine and this time away from Smash events in real life is that I've been able to find a better sense of balance in my life.
Hell yeah.
There's
Great
a time
point.
there's a
Build on
yeah,
that.
because there's a time in my life where like when I was in college, I was like, you know, I was the typical like college student that was playing Smash. I focused too much of my energy on Smash. It gave me an escape. It gave me an outlet to express myself.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't vibing well with the education system, and then it cost me because I lost that balance in my life. And the same it can happen to me now too. You have to
Mm-hmm.
juggle work, your health, your relationships outside of Smash, while also going to Smash. And this time away has just kind of really given me a breath of fresh air to kind of look at it in a big picture, because I've
Yep.
always been I've been personally afraid of my own mortality in Smash. We all kind of think about it. We all joke about being the old guy in the room, but you don't know when this bubble's gonna pop. And the one thing that I've been able to find within myself is inner peace, knowing that if I God forbid, knock on every piece of wood I have in my room, if I don't get to go to a Smash online, if I don't get to go to an offline Smash event again, then I'm okay with that. I've accepted that. I'm okay with that because I put my blood in the ground, and I understand that people use this as an outlet to hang out with their friends. A lot of what I see online is people just like, I don't really miss playing the game. I just miss hanging out with my friends. So
Yep.
my thing to you people is that
Yeah.
there are safe and socially distancing ways you can hang out with your friends. If I've sat in a backyard with my friends, from 6 feet apart, just shooting the shit by the fire, drinking some beers or something like that. Or even what we do here, we get together, once a week, once every 2 weeks, and talk to each other. I hang out with my friends in a Zoom call. We play Secret Hitler and Werewolf, online for, a few hours every weekend. And I understand that you're quick to get back to your sense of normalcy. And Max made a tweet about this earlier today, where obviously you don't want to be the TO that gets somebody sick, because that is your reputation in the shitter. No one's ever gonna want to work with you again. No one's gonna want to go to your events, and you're gonna have to like Has said, you're gonna have to live with the fact that you got somebody sick at one of your events, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you're gonna be able to do that. So, I understand people don't want to go about shaming people and doing this and that, but sometimes you really gotta tell somebody, hey, this isn't a good idea. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
understand that words. I understand it's a harsh reality to come with, but like, how else do you get across to people that like this? I understand you're trying to do what's best for the community, but what the community needs right now is to not do this.
Yeah, well, I think you really nailed it, actually. Your initial point of basically about like finding some balance in life and how Smash had a tendency to be a little unhealthy, like it did. It totally did. And
Oh fuck yeah,
it had
dude!
that,
Yep.
Big time.
that was hitting all of us, and I don't think anyone
Yep.
even realized it. And I think I was kind of trying to get to that earlier, and Koopy really reminded me. That's the thing is like, as good as things looked on the surface, the way everything was operating just wasn't healthy. In terms of
Yeah.
like people getting in really late and the way the weeklies run, and just like I could tell you right now, as someone who was streaming a weekly on Wednesday and Thursday for a long time in totally different parts of the state of New Jersey. That was not healthy for me. That was not a healthy way to
No.
live and exist.
Yep.
And ever since, it's given me a lot of time to put that in perspective. So I think anyone who's in a big rush to go back, my thing I wish for you is just to, maybe try and find a little bit of different perspective in different things, and just realize like how big life is and just how small getting to a local is at this point.
I know that I don't need to go to a Smash tournament to call you guys my friends, because I consider
Yes.
you guys my it's just there's other ways about it. And I saw Max make this tweet earlier. Like I said, there's just unfortunately there's just a lot of people that are just kind of missing the point. They're comparing going to a video game tournament to stuff like going out to restaurants and doing this and that, and you shouldn't be doing that stuff either, because that's just as bad.
Yep.
Like the whole concept of just reopening now scares me, because I still think it's too early to do any of that.
I
That's
sort
my
of
own.
I gotta tell you, I sort of think like we were talking about earlier, how everyone wants to go back. I gotta tell you, I'm not sure everybody does. Like, I'll openly
No.
admit, I am in no rush to get back for a lot of reasons. A lot of reasons I already covered, so I'm not gonna repeat myself. But
Yeah.
the reality is, man, is things are different. They're gonna look different, and I'm not even just talking about like in general. I just mean like the way the way the economy and the socializing works right now, and with all the turmoil within the government, like that stuff you gotta really respect.
Yep.
You can't
So
just
the
try
one-
and jump
the-
back. Like it's you're gonna get hit right back if you do. And sadly,
The last
that's
point I'm
just
going to
what it
make on
is.
this, the last point I'll make on this is that, listen, if you're someone that's watching this, if you've been itching to attend tournaments, if you've been on the fence about it, if your area is opening tournaments and stuff like that, if you're active, if you're going to tournaments now, I'm not your dad. I can't tell you what to do. I've always stood by that when it comes to these social issues. It's just that, just look a little bit deeper. Like, it's not, I understand that it sucks. Like, the way that things are right now sucks and smashes a sense of normalcy for a lot of people. Like, we've been, hammering to hell and back. But, there's, your friends will be your friends with or without GameCube controllers. Like,
Yeah.
you don't need that. And, listen, if you're someone that like lives by themselves, if you can, it's a lot harder than you think to stay away from people at a tournament, because people are going to want to talk to you and stuff like that. There's just so many factors, and if you're running locals right now, I highly recommend that you don't. Obviously, I'm not trying to get in your pockets or anything, but it's not. Just think of the bigger picture, and because you could potentially be doing more harm than good.
And the one last thing too is as far as like I guess going back goes, I know a lot of people, there's a lot of, and this is a lot of turmoil I was talking about, like maybe people thinking coronavirus is over exaggerated, not real, whatever those things are. And I'm not going to argue with any of that because I don't think it's really relevant. I think the reality is essentially respecting the fact that it could be real. And until we get a definitive clarity that spreads across everyone, you sort of got to honor it, because you could be putting other people at risk. And
It's
while
so
you might think it
disrespectful
might
to
not
all
be
the
real,
healthcare workers.
it
too.
Yeah.
literally might be your opinion, and I'm not even going to say it's a wrong opinion, because I don't know. I don't have the full answer. No one does, and that's part of the issue. So those
Yeah.
are the bigger problems we were talking about. Until those problems get squared away and we start getting more transparency of what's going on, you got to just sort of play it as it is. Otherwise, you could only really be putting stuff at risk. So, I mean, with that, though, things aren't all doom and gloom. I know there was actually a successful tournament this past weekend that all of you guys were involved with. So I'm gonna sort of let you guys take that and run with it.
Yeah, but one of you guys can go. I've been talking for a minute, so.
Go ahead, AJ, man.
Well, this one, as we all know, is as important as can be of a message that we've had in a long time, because this is something that should have been spoken about for many years, and every time the outcry is made, there is not enough outreach that listen. And it seems like it finally is getting to the point where people understand and accept. However, we've also started to reach that point where it's much like, unfortunately, things like the shootings, where we become desensitized and then forget after a few weeks. I am floored, proud, and was slightly emotional with looking at the numbers once again that came from the Fight for Rights tournament from over the weekend. We were able to raise $2,000 plus registration to get to $3,000 within the first night. And then the following day, we were able to get to a total of $10,000 from the Smash Ultimate community. And we're sitting here talking about, obviously that there's a lot of woes, there's a lot of problems going on. But the fact that across many gaming communities, between actually just pretty much everybody in general who has a platform, who is willing to speak up about it, was able to get donations to go towards a positive message, and if not the donations, to keep the message alive for something that is so important, that we have a problem with systemic racism. We have a problem with police brutality. We're seeing the reactions that are basically in response to the brutality, just with more brutality, and it's crazy, but it's being heard, it's being noticed, and the fact that we as a gaming community were able to come together, all of us casters on a whim, thanks to like I said in a tweet the other day, the unsung hero Flambeau coming through, letting us all know what was happening with Ryo Peach, we were able to put something together that's special and something I think we should be proud of while stuck at home. So it was a tremendous feat, regardless of any hiccups here and there. We'll definitely talk about some of that too, but on a positive note, it could not have been better of a message to show that we stand together.
Yeah, I mean, not only I completely agree with you. Not only was it about the money that was raised, 11K, I think was like the final total. That's what
Yep.
Ryo Beat said, which is incredible. Is that I mean, I know the Smash community raise money and do shit when it's about the game or about getting someone into summon or some bullshit.
Yep.
But when it's something that actually matters, I'm glad they could step up and do a pretty good job. Yeah, Bam and Flambeau were amazing. Top 8
Yes.
was really, really good. It was all about sharing personal experiences and sharing, exactly what's going on from a point of view that I can never, otherwise I can't experience myself. So hearing it and listening to especially two people I know and trust and like and I'm friends with, like it just, and I didn't know this shit. You know what I mean? They've never told me any of this shit before, or if they have, it's been, either kind of a light comment or a joke or whatever. But hearing them really dive into the weeds there was incredibly powerful shit. And I loved it, man. And I think Ryo Beat, I think, deserves more credit than just hey, he organized the thing and like that's great and that's awesome and everything's good there. Oh, hold on, sorry.
Yeah, I was freezing a little bit on here.
Yeah, exactly. So everything's great, like that's awesome. But what he did in between day 1 and day 2 is that he really rallied us and taught us kind of how to do a charity event versus a Smash event. Because honestly, we didn't have a lot of direction going to day 1. It's like here's the slides. It's a Smash tournament. You're casting. Read the slides, kind of like a normal fucking event. Like that's kind of the direction we're giving. And he goes, "Hey guys, we gotta do a little bit better. And here's what you should do." And I think the turnaround on day 2 was unbelievable. I know Koopa and I know we really took that to heart and tried to do our best to change the direction there and more talk about the charity than talk about Smash, which seems kind of obvious in hindsight, but at the same time, I don't know. I mean, if no one really, I've never done anything like that,
Yeah.
Me and oh yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, this is my first foray into like a charity event before, and I love charity. I've always been a big proponent of charity because it can do amazing things, and to have been a part of this, obviously Ryo Beat did a lot of the legwork for us. He looked into the charities. He fed us all the information for the bail funds and stuff like that, and so on and so forth, and and everybody on the ones and twos did great. Obviously, VGPC and House and 2GG involved. Getting a lot of like the, just getting a lot of the right people involved with this too. And obviously, like you said, Flambeau and Bam were powerful to listen to. Those are two people who I respect a lot. Just because of how hard they work, and and even more, they, like Kaz said, they shared an experience that even myself, a Latino person of color, I have not experienced. I can't say I've experienced those hardships, and I'll never know what it feels like to be, to be them. And it was just really powerful stuff, all around.
Yeah, like one of the things that me and J Dog were talking about, and I'm glad that Ryo Beat, like you said, rallied us all together the following day, was after the first night, like I was very happy and proud that I was able to close out the night on the East Coast with J Dog, and a message that's been very important to me because it directly affects me and my family because of how we've talked about this at the last time, how diverse my family is and how it's angered me on so many personal levels, but like just the fact that we talked about Smash, and yes, we were able to get a donation train and stuff going, but we didn't really articulate the message involved and the reason why we were doing it, and in a firm enough way. I get that we were doing it for Smash to get people to be there in the first place to want to donate, and yes, it did work, and I'm very proud it did work. I just didn't feel like we did enough. So the fact that day 2, immediately everybody was like, yes, we would 100% agree. We're on board because it is like, actually, like J Dog said too, to be a good ally is to be uncomfortable. You have to understand that the message that you're trying to portray to some people is not going to come across easy because you just don't have that experience as someone else. But the key factor is that those who are oppressed usually don't get to speak the loudest because everybody drowns it out, but those who aren't get to speak and others will listen because they will think that, oh, this isn't just one reaching out and saying something and trying to cry wolf or something like that, which is a terrible thing, but it really is just the way a lot of people looked at it. And now they understand, like, no, this is a problem. They're seeing it themselves. They're seeing journalists getting directly like targeted. They're seeing old men being knocked on the floor just trying to be peaceful, and it's like, oh, this is real, and this is what black people have been going through forever, and everybody just tried to pretend it wasn't happening because it's easier to pretend that a problem doesn't exist than to take it head on. So as a community, again, it's really wonderful that not only behind the scenes with us did we improve as a group to make sure that the message was strong in the best way we could provide, and then closed out by one of the best speeches I've heard in a while, written by a Smash player themselves and perfectly delivered with the right amount of emotion, not once but twice, by Flambeau. And also, even Bam was saying at one point, it's like, I would love to just be uncomfortable. I would love to be able to go home and say, this feels wrong. But he can't because he was one of the people being targeted himself in front of his own home. These are all experiences that are real, not things that are written up or fake. And it was necessary, regardless of the people in chat who are saying, oh, let's just talk about Smash, because it's not about that in the moment. It's about us letting people know what was going on, and the right way to do it was to make sure we just nailed it right on the head and said it right out. And I think that they did an immaculate and an amazing job delivering that message at the end of it.
Was there a lot of that in chat in terms of like, let's keep it Smash, or no?
There was a handful. There were occasional
Sometimes,
trolls, and there was a couple people who were like, I came here to watch Smash, but it was they were allowed to speak in a conversation until they got out of hand, and then the mods kind of came in and closed it up. But one of the greatest gripes that was given was that it was emote only for top 8 the first night, so it wasn't really allowing anybody to get a message. So it was really
we all collectively played it too safe the first day.
Yeah, it was too safe.
I agree. Yeah, but it also make like these are logical decisions too, though. Like, you don't want chat to be bad. You all want it to be positive. But at the same time, the point isn't just to keep shit positive. Like you said, there's some negativity going on here, and it needs to be addressed or just handled in a more direct way than just making them use emotes instead.
So that's a trick, and I think that's a really good way to shift the conversation, because I am wondering. So what were the exact charities for this particular event? Did it go towards?
So it was
three main ones. Well,
the George
kinda.
Floyd Family Fund, the Minnesota First Responders Freedom Fund, I believe it was, and then the last one was various bail funds. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but
yeah. So the tricky part about that is, and I always reluctantly bring this kind of stuff up, but I do think it's just so important. Because there's been a lot of controversy in terms of like where donation proceeds go and what's actually happening with the money, and if the amount of money that's being donated is actually being realized in full to the actual charities. Because Minnesota Freedom Fund found itself in a little bit of a, I guess I'll call it, I don't want to say a witch hunt, but a little bit of controversy in terms of like, hey, you guys have raised $35 million by now. How come only 100,000 of that has been realized to any real benefit? So I think it's kind of an ugly part of this conversation, but I think it's one that is valid, and I think it's one that, like, you think about toxic chats and things that kind of turn the wrong way off of things that are otherwise good intentions from people running it and from people like basically working on it, like you guys. So what is your take on all that after all the news that came out on all the Minnesota Freedom Fund?
I'll go first. Again, this is just coming from somebody who's like not super familiar with how nonprofit stuff works, so I'm not really sure on what's going on here. My only thing to say is that if you're someone that's looking to donate to a cause, or you're if or just obviously if you're just looking to donate or do anything, just do your research. See where your money's going, because like I said, Ryo bailed, I'm sure, a lot of us out by doing a lot of the legwork for the charities, doing his due diligence, to make sure that we knew what we were talking about, but also to where he knows where his money's going at the end of the day. So,
I think, but one of them was the Freedom Fund too, though. I'm pretty sure, right?
Wasn't it? It's the mental health.
It's the bailout fund. No, because there's Minnesota. That was really cool. Actually, it's probably my favorite. I mean, I like them all, obviously, but I thought that one was cool because I'd never heard of it before, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. But I'm pretty sure one of the bailout funds was for the Minnesota one. I'm pretty sure.
I mean,
have the slide
that's
saved.
one of
Hold
the
on.
biggest ones, and this has been kind of a point of controversy even a little while ago because a lot of people are calling out the fund itself because
Minnesota Healing
it's-
Justice Network, sorry,
Yeah.
George Floyd Memorial Fund and bail funds to support the protesters, which I guess was just spread out across a bunch of them, which is, I don't know if it's going to the Minnesota one. I'm not sure. But it's better that it was spread out across many cities.
Well, that is good because the intentions are good, and there was a lot of work put in this event, and a lot going towards good place, a lot of good-hearted work. But the thing is, just to clear up for anyone who's curious, this particular fund has been a very big, basically a very big one for Black Lives Matter in general, and
pretty much the number one since the beginning.
Yeah, and this is a lot of people called this out early, and even the website's changed because of it. A lot of people questioning it because all of the owners on the website were white or Jewish or something like that. And then also, now that they've had such big donations, a lot of people calling for transparency and kind of seeing how much money's been put out. So it's all valid stuff, but I just want to remind everyone again, this is the political climate we're in. People are sort of second-guessing everything, rightfully so, not rightfully so. You have your own opinion, I'll have mine. And the thing is, though, you're not going to stop those sort of things. So you have these good intentioned events going on. Meanwhile, you have this going on the side, and it's no wonder everyone is sort of tired at this point. But it's definitely something to pay attention to.
What sucks is how not uncommon this is. Because I don't think it's a bad topic to bring up when you're saying that you kind of hesitant to bring it up on this, because unfortunately this has happened on many occasions. Me just personally within my own state many years ago, the Sandy Hook school shooting. There was relief funds for parents, and there were a couple of them that turned out to be people just creating quick funds under the premise of providing it to them, and they actually ended up trying to hoard money. Now they were found and dealt with quickly, but it just shows the character nature of people, unfortunately, within these times. It's the same exact people who go and hoard all the hand sanitizer and then in the middle of a pandemic so they could try and sell it at 300% profit. It's the same thing. People love to take advantage of despair, misery, emergencies, pandemics, anything, because they see an ability to profit, because that's just the way they are. It sucks, and I hate it, and I hate every single bit of it, because that there's just people out there who want to do that. But the only way to help prevent that is to call out those who when discovered, are doing it. And I truly do hope that this the Minnesota Freedom Fund is not involved heavily, again, because I only just heard about this type of stuff begin with the other day. Somebody was bringing up something with one of them apparently being a direct donator to the Biden campaign or something like that, and then another one directly attached to a Republican governor's organization that was found to take money before. It's just so many people love to take advantage when a lot of money is floating around, and I truly hope that most of the money, I want all of it, but I hope that the money is found, delegated properly, and sent to the right people who need it. And it just really pisses me the fuck off, actually. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it anymore. It just that these people exist and are willing to take the tragedy of others losing their lives in a way to gain profit. It's astronomically stupid, and I just hope that those people get their just desserts down the road, because it's insane that they would do that.
Dude, but the thing with them, and the reason I didn't donate directly to them, is because I did my research, and it specifically said at one point, stop donating to us. We have too much money, and then they linked other ones that you should donate to. But people it's complicated, because charity is you think with your heart more than with your head, which is okay.
It's in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, absolutely, and you want to help, and good intention is something that we keep coming back to and saying. But man, you can't. They said stop sending us money. I don't know why. This shouldn't have been. It's not the. I don't want to say it's not their fault, but what are you supposed to do? You know what I mean? And at this point,
even just from me, as somebody who's been paying it to, I pay attention and read and watch all this stuff daily, and I didn't even know about that till 2 days ago. And I watch this literally every single day for at least 3 hours of my day just to keep updated, and I still didn't even know.
One of
That just goes to
those-
show, like, it's unless you like you said, you at least research before you did it. You have to dig
Oh,
deep
I
to
always
find
do.
this sometimes.
I'm paranoid as hell because
Yeah.
I don't want to get got. You know what I mean? Like, that's
Exactly.
the whole thing. I don't want to get
Exactly.
got, man.
You should be
It's
paranoid a little
and
bit
it's
about
just
that.
crazy because like you have to think with that mentality, because there's just people out there who are willing to scam and make that money because they see an easy way out. And it's because to take advantage of other people's pain. So it's, again, like I said, it's frustrating as all hell, because it's like, how many more times do we have to have people caught to make them realize that this is not funny, but
Yeah.
they don't
I
care.
agree.
Yeah, I mean the jury's still out on this particular case, so
I
time
don't
will
know
time
if
will
they-
only tell.
Dude,
And
I feel like they
Yeah.
just got too much money. Like, I feel like that's
Yeah,
honestly
and that's-
one a contributing factor at the very least.
yeah,
Yeah, but especially on this one, hopefully they get more people in to delegate and process it the right ways, because I believe you can only do so many excess amounts of donations across a certain amount of times before you start getting like into where you have to like market yourself as the proper non-profit organization tax charity brackets, which is a whole nother ballpark, especially with the IRS being in the situation it is right now with everybody out of work. So I'm sure that takes even more time. It's like, I don't know too much about that myself when it comes to those big funds, but like I'm sure that that's a whole nother annoyance of a situation to deal with. So
yeah. I don't know. This is definitely not a new problem as far as charity goes, and yeah, chalk it up with the theme of this podcast, seemingly, which is kind of one of many systemic problems going on that need to be solved. Because we're out here trying to go back to Smash Locals. Meanwhile, we're trying to figure out if like this a freedom fund's actually going to where it needs to be, and if not, what it's funding. Because there's also been ties to like that's just funding into like politics and stuff. So there's just so much not available to us yet.
It's kind of like a similar problem what the NBA is going through right now. They're if you're not a sports buff, if you're not paying attention, the NBA is in talks to transport other teams to Orlando, to start playing basketball, because
I heard about that, but I didn't hear too much. Yeah, give me more details on that.
So basically, the gist of it is that at the end of March, obviously, or in the middle of March, obviously, the NBA had to postpone its season due to coronavirus. They're in the process of inviting 22 teams to Walt Disney Studios. Because they still have to finish a regular season, which is a little bit awkward. So there's a handful of teams in contention for that. The NBA sent out a 100-page letter in detailing what they're doing in the case of someone tests positive for COVID, how frequently they're testing, what they can do in Disney, where they can go in Disney, this and that, and there's a coalition of players led by Avery Bradley, a guard for the Lakers, and Kyrie Irving, a guard for the Nets, that are saying that we don't want to. Not only do we not want to breach the bubble of Orlando, because Disneyland is going to be, Walt Disney World is going to be open, around the time this is all going on. And number two, it's that the sense of them starting to play basketball again means that things are going back to normal, and they don't want things to go back to normal. They want the NBA to partner with more black businesses. They want a system to get more black coaches and black GMs and black owners, in the NBA. And this is across all sports. A lot of these athletes are taking their stands. I know in the NFL, they actually have a rule where you are required to interview a minority coach, but even that's been flawed, because you're going to bring somebody in just to interview them, and you're not going to offer them the job. So even that's they're just doing it for the to appease the rule.
Face.
They're not actually going to hire the guy, which is a shame. So you're seeing it across all walks of life. People, not only are people not wanting to get back to at least in the sports world, you don't want to go back to normal. But you're seeing a lot of these sports leagues. The players are taking charge. The NASCAR just banned a Confederate flag, which I don't know why they didn't do that in the first place. It's just a matter of you don't if it's the same thing with locals. If we start getting back to normal, if people are afraid you're going to lose sight of what the important issues are.
Yeah, I mean that's a personal fear of mine. So
I will say, in the arc of we'll say like heel to face turns. Not that I considered NASCAR a heel or anything, but boy did I get surprised to see that of all the professional sports, NASCAR was the first one to go and just immediately attack the white supremacist outlook, so to speak, with like removing the Confederate flag, raising pride flags, all for what is very much considered like a primarily Southern sport, in where a lot of people like to point where most of a lot of the current races acts unfortunately still act. Not that it doesn't happen everywhere, but it's just one of those things that if you look at the numbers, it kind of points in that direction. They did that before the NFL decided to change anything after Kaepernick knees. They did that before anything with any of the other professional sports, and they really just kind of set the tone with enough is enough, and we're not going to accept this shit anymore. So that they joined the highest tier group of people who I did not expect to make the quick exchanges they did, and they have an immense amount of respect from me now. I'm still probably not going to watch them drive in circles, but it's they definitely have my respect.
It's a rough sport to watch.
Yeah, I'm so glad to see that even more companies in general, it doesn't matter what you people may think the target audience is, they're saying enough of this shit, we're done. It's so as sad and kind of gloom as we have been occasionally throughout this podcast, because it's a reality of the nature of the world that we have to deal with right now. There is a lot of positive change, and there is a lot of things coming where people are accepting the change and working towards making a better life for everyone around them. I'm just hoping that at the end of all this, we come out stronger as a people. Because we have been through the fire and flame is a very light way to put it. For what we've been going through for the past few years, and now culminating into 2020. So I'm really hoping we see some good change after all this, because right now we definitely need it. But it seems like it's finally starting to work, at least slowly that way.
It's gonna.
That's what I was just gonna say. You know, the silver lining on this really shitty cloud is that. Things are slowly starting to change. So it's going to be a slow burn. It's going to be a process, but don't stop pushing.
Yeah, and let it burn, man. Share good information. Make sure your information has sources. Be level-headed about it. The second you lose your cool about an argument, the second your credibility goes out the window. Just research your stuff. Understand that all of your news isn't going to come from one source. And understand that there's a lot of skeletons in closets coming out. There's a lot of swamps being drained. There's a lot of things just happening. So just be accepting of that, and honestly be grateful about it. I'm for one am grateful because I think in the long term, for me personally, this sets me up and will eventually set me up to a better position to ultimately be where I want to be. And the only way I was ever really able to fall on that is basically being stuck in my house for 4 months, 5 months.
I think all of us got a lot of time back in terms of personal stuff, because I can't remember the last time I was home for an entire weekend. You know what I mean?
It's a big deal.
It's weird. It's really weird.
I remember you having a real struggle with that for a while there, where you were basically like apologizing to the groups behind the scenes, saying, "Hey, look, I'm so sorry. I know I said I could do this, but I have to see my family. I have to."
I'm fucking out, dude. I said fuck no so many times. You know what I mean? Because you gotta take care of yourself, and that was like. Another big thing I was talking about, you know what I mean? You got to take care of yourself at this time. Same thing, protesting Smash tournaments, all that stuff. You got to look out for yourself, because you're not going to be doing anyone any good if you get sick, racking up either medical bills or anything worse than that, obviously.
If you want to create change, it literally starts, with yourself. And I know it sounds corny. It's not what everybody wants to hear, but it's the truth, man. That stuff.
You know what I really loved about Fight for the Right? You know what I loved about that is at one point I was going off and I said, I know it sounds corny, and someone in the chat goes, it's not corny at all. Like, you're speaking a truth. And I was like, wow. Good. I was like, dude, I really appreciate that. Like, I definitely feel like
you
I
should be proud of
corny.
that. Absolutely.
I felt good. That felt fucking nice, man. I don't know what else to say. I never knew I could kind of feel that way. I don't know. It was a unique, not that it was about me, obviously, but it was a very cool thing to be a part of and a very cool thing to feel.
But the thing is, it is actually still about you, like in a positive way. Like that's the way to look at it, because like it's on all of us to make the change, and the fact that you felt good about that is already a big notion in the right direction. Because like you said before, you didn't know about any of this, and now you're heavily invested in it because you care, and you care about the friends of yours that are affected by it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think, and I think about if, the tables were turned somehow in some alternate universe, I know they'd have my back too. You know what I mean? Like, they would listen to me, and they'd believe me when I told them shit. You know what I mean? There's no question. So it feels wrong to not at the very least lend an ear and give them the benefit of the doubt, like,
Yep.
and
Absolutely.
help and just try to help.
Yep. Same thing with like even on a a different charity event. There's the Pride Month charity event that they have next week. That's going to be going on for. The charity is meant to help youth with transition to change and understanding being happy with themselves. And I may not be LGBT myself, but I'm an ally, and I want to make sure that I am speaking from my perspective in a positive manner that continues to say like everybody deserves the right to be happy. Even though I may not experience the pain of what they go through myself, doesn't mean I don't see it.
Yeah.
And I have to be willing to speak up about it because other people need to be able to listen. So it's
Amen,
the
brother.
same exact thing.
Yeah, I agree with every sentiment. You know, like I said, charity's great, and this is such a great time. Well, let me rephrase
I don't
that.
think it's a bad time. I think it's okay
it's
to
not
say
it's just with everything going on, just anything to kind of help.
that stuff is bad.
you
There's bad things.
Yeah.
But like I think the time
course.
in itself, I think a lot of people are actually starting to wake up to things more than ever.
The
and I think-
camaraderie is what feels
Yeah.
great. I've
Yeah.
never felt closer with all my friends and colleagues and everybody. And again, just follow our social media. We've all been signal boosting this at till just using our platforms for in whichever way we can, man. So
Yeah, big or small, doesn't matter.
I think that's
Yeah,
pretty much-
that covers everything. I want to thank you guys for embarking on this little experiment with me today in terms
No,
of
this
the
is fun. This
overlays
layout's a
and-
lot of fun.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more we can do with it, and there's a lot of things that I want to add to it. Today I was just a little shortchanged on time, so
No, on a positive note, for one, you killed it for doing it
Yeah.
so shortchanged, and I
Looking
think
so
the
damn
concept is
handsome while
definitely
doing it.
thanks.
good. I see
Every
what you
time.
meant, by the way, before we started, like with how much how much hair you've been getting now,
Yeah,
man. It definitely
it's
is different.
tall. Look, it actually comes down my eye, which
Ew,
you,
I hate that. I
Wow.
don't like that at all.
Dude, look,
Dude, I have to swoop mine so
Wow.
much because if I don't, I look like an emo kid. Like it just comes like it's
Dude,
just all in.
Yo,
my
straight up,
eyes.
whenever I don't when I just wash it and I do nothing with it, I have like a Puerto Rican bowl cut. It's hilarious. It like stops right here. Like
I'm
I
about
can't.
I'm about to buy you your first pair of checkerboard Vans. So
Appreciate that. Death
Those are
Cab for
nice.
Cutie concert
Yes,
whenever they open back
I'm
up.
about it.
Is that a thing?
You're gonna look great.
I don't know.
You're gonna
yeah,
look
shout out to
great.
Mike Chem. They pushed back their tour dates.
Let's
It's
go.
tragic. I'm very sad. But yeah, so that's I guess this is the part of the show where we plug ourselves. If you haven't been paying attention to the ticker at the bottom of the screen, you can follow me on twitter.com at KoopaNJ. I retweet memes and I talk about Animal Crossing and also social justice
Hell yeah.
because that's what I want to do.
Someone's got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Obviously, if you haven't been following this podcast or the channels, make sure you follow at Mastery on Games. Follow the YouTube channel. Your subscribes and the likes, they help a lot with the YouTube algorithm. So if you're driving with this content and think it's cool, definitely, if it's your vibe, be a homie. Just hit the click, subscribe, like it. It does help big time. But other than that, yeah, definitely appreciate everybody's support. If you want to follow me, at Chriselodian, it's on the screen right now. Good timing. I have actually been talking about a lot of bigger picture stuff. I don't plan to stop. I have good takes, straight up. So, feel free to engage in conversation with me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
Funny that your name is Chriselodian and yet you're wearing a shirt that is from Cartoon Network.
you don't got to expose me like that. I like them both. Christina.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with liking both, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. But both great. Obviously, it's if you were paying attention to clicker as well, perfectly timed once again. My at Ajax_HQ. That is where you'll find me on everything social media related, including recently my increase of YouTube and Twitch both go by the same. Speaking of Pokemon, I do a lot of content of that at the start, but that is not going to be the only thing I do. I plan to do a lot of Smash and other things related to. I'd love to talk about Smash news if we'd ever get it anytime soon, but we don't
Arms,
have
baby.
it just yet. So
I don't really fucking care, honestly. I want it to happen just so we can get on to the next thing.
I feel that. I think that's actually
Court dismissed.
Yeah.
Look, man, I can't help myself. Every single trailer announcement, except for this one, upcoming, is probably gonna. Now that I know who it is way beforehand, it's like when I'm opening gifts on Christmas. So
Wait, we know who the ARMS character is?
Well, we know it's an ARMS character.
Oh, well, I thought
it's-
you said you know who the character is. I was
Oh
like,
no, it's like just because I know it's from ARMS, I'm not really that excited.
Gotcha.
Didn't you know that Chavo works at Nintendo's? Come on.
Chavo.
Look, Chavo's got all the insight, and Doodle has all the answers, but she won't give them to me unless I give her snacks. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I've been loving it. I've been loving every second of it. Really, it's a new avenue, like you guys said. We have a lot more free time on our hands, and a lot of that came from the ability to be home. And I needed to find something new to do, and now I'm doing that, and I'm hoping. And actually, not hoping one of these days it's gonna blow up. I'm gonna be big with it, and I'm looking forward to the. I'm enjoying the grind to get there. But yeah, just go ahead and follow me on everything with that, and I of course will join you guys regularly for these every chance I could get.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, I'm Haz. Just follow me at Hazmat Rules on everything except YouTube. I got just youtube.com/Hazmat, which is really cool.
That blows my
I'm
mind.
on a
That actually blows my mind.
unfucking
great.
real that was open because it's literally I'll literally get messages from people like once a week that are like, "Hey, are you playing this random game? There's another Hazmat in here." I'm like, "No, sorry, it's not me." Like, but so follow me on those things. I'm taking a little bit of a break from everything because honestly, I've been so demotivated with Smash and just there's no tournaments coming up, so why the fuck would I play? I'm not really commentating anything coming up. It doesn't seem like there's any big tournaments on the horizon or anything, so I'm kind of just I'm doing other shit, man. I've been biking 10 miles every single day for 10 days. I've
Which
been
is
on an
great,
awesome
by the way. Congrats on
I
keeping consistent with that.
I got to finish that too, which I have to do in the next half hour or so.
Yeah,
I'll
my
be
man
doing
is
that.
yoked.
But I just want to be skinny is the first thing I want to be, and then I'll figure out where to go from
My
there.
man is egg white and yoked.
Yeah, just trying to look like
Yeah, that's-
embarrassingly skinny.
I've just been
Um,
trying to eat different and like lose that weight, man. The quarantine really fucked me.
Yeah,
Because
the
I
last
got-
month was like a fucking just it was such a gluttonous piece of shit, I
Has
just did whatever I wanted and didn't do any exercise.
I just want to put this on your radar, Has. I do recall someone gifting you a sub to this channel, and you do get a sub perk where you get to talk to me specifically about all things
right.
fitness and things in my Discord.
So,
So you're missing out,
Chris,
bro.
I will definitely hit you up on that. I know you're good for that. I'm
I
doing
got
like a
good
30.
info.
I'm
that's
doing
something I
like
actually forgot to do, so the good reminder.
Hit up your boy.
I'm doing like a 30-day thing. Dude, I haven't weighed myself in like 10 days, and I usually weigh myself every day just because I'm a freak like that,
Mm-hmm.
But this diet was like, don't weigh yourself for 30 days, and that way you get like a nice payoff instead of sweating about like,
It's
I
good.
didn't lose any weight today, like
Yep.
I feel bad, or like I gained.
That's really
a
the biggest
quarter of a
demotivator
pound.
when you see like you go up and down like that and you don't feel like you're making that progress. It's how you just quit.
It's counterproductive. It'll
Yeah.
work against you. It's just
Exactly. Or like for me, the inverse of that is, wow, I lost half a pound in one day. I'm feeling good about myself, and I slide, slide again. That just doesn't feel good. So
Yep.
The default muscle weighs more than fat, man. I know people like to throw it out there, but it's very real. If you're out there running and you're building up any kind of like,
yeah.
you're building up muscle even while running. That stuff has weight too. So I think it's good you're not weighing yourself for 30 days because there's a lot of water weight in between there too. It's just gonna confuse you. So yeah, just get the gains as you get them and figure it out after. That's
No
good.
gains, man. All loss. That's where I'm at.
That's you know that some people call that a gain.
I like that. That's good. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, so that's gonna be our show for this week. Hopefully, there's some ground shattering news that happens within the next couple of days. Otherwise, we're gonna be back with our. We'll think of a list. I'll think of something stupid for us to do next week in case we don't get any groundbreaking news.
Well, we definitely have at least next Wednesday another Pokemon announcement. So that's
true.
one right there.
We do have that. Thanks, Pokemon, for being the gift that keeps on giving.
Seriously,
so
man, thank you.
Until then, folks, we will catch you guys on the flip side and see you next time.
See ya.
See you later. All right. So we're offline now, right? Are we?